Hello, everyone. Welcome back. As you can tell, we're outside and we're in a different area here today. I just picked these up. These are actually Buck Tech tack boxes. I got two different sizes. I wanted to get these for my UTV. Just one of those things, just kind of thinking about wanting to have a place where I can put one of my handguns while I'm out and about. And I know there's others that are interested in trying to keep a handgun, especially if you're out on the trails or whatever else. If you break down, you might have a coyote or a wolf or, something trying to come after you or whatever. You have some protection. So, with that in mind, I have gotten these. I found it on Amazon. These are going for like $20, $25. The company's got a great idea here. Honestly, I did not know what size I really should have gone with. So here I picked up both of them. Well, actually, there was a third one in between these. It was a larger size, but it only had the one magazine. I picked up the larger and the smaller, trying to see what we have. Now, the nice thing is we do have some holes on the bottom. So if this does get wet, it will drain out here. When we get this, we actually have some foam sitting in here to try and keep this shape in there nicely. And it works pretty good. The goods and the bads. When you're trying to figure out what kind or what size you should get, which was really my biggest question, what kind of handgun do you have? That's really what it kind of comes down to. And I've got a couple, well, pretty much all of my handguns here, as well as, because we had hit this before, this is the Umarex BB gun or whatever that we had done once before. For all those that you're not allowed to actually have a handgun, or you're waiting on a permit or whatever else. Will this work? Here we are. Now, starting off with this one, I can say I can just barely get it in on a small. This is going to work really on a large. So out of this, I would say if you're going to get this, I would get the large. And of course, if you have the magazine in here, that's going to flop around if you have a spare magazine. Now these hold, 17 BBs in here. You're not going to kill anything. Maybe a squirrel. Hopefully the squirrels don't attack me seeing I'm outside. But it's just one of those things as a deterrent to try and help keep something away. It might help, might not. The hope is you never need it. Or if you're just trying to do this for target practice or whatever else, it does work. Something for the kids, so the kids have something around, But I wanted to see. Okay, so we've talked about this before. What one will this work in? Now, I will say if you had it in the smaller one, you're going to be able to get the magazine out of there. This goes all the way down. So now it's in there. Yes, I can grab it, but it's a little bit of a pain. Not too bad, but a little bit. So, like I said, kind of showing this here, trying to get this in, it's tight. And it stops right here because it kind of widens out a little bit. So it stops right there. Not really going to work very well. When it comes to actual magazines, now I've got a couple here. You'll notice I've got two different high points. Cheap gun. There might be a lot of people that have it in a UTV or something like that. Very inexpensive. It's not going to cost you a lot. It's not going to break the bank. If you lose it, you're probably not going to be sitting there saying, hey, that was an expensive gun. The 45, which is this, and I'm willing to bet that's probably about the same size as your 40 cal. It'll fit in the large one, but it's not going to fit in our smaller size. Now this is the 9mm. Actually, I think this is for the carbine. I think that's the 10 round. Obviously, yes, it'll fit in there. With the foam, it is somewhat snug, so it's not falling down too far. It's also got our thumb grip here. And as far as the small one, it barely fits, and it's shoving that foam all the way down. So really not even going to work in there, which is fine because you're not going to fit that in there anyways. Now, I grabbed this one. I've got the Walther G22, but this is the P22 pistol magazine. So if you happen to have a Walther P22 or something similar, yes, it'll fit in there without a problem. I'm willing to bet the P22 will fit in here fine. The closest thing I have is a Taurus 9mm. I can get that in there. Magazines, you know, obviously you're going to pull this out, and then if you needed either the magazine or a spare magazine, you know, then you would grab it, and then here you are. But I will say, this is a double stack magazine for the Taurus, and it will not fit in there. So if you're looking for this for UTV, it's not going to fit. The moment you have a double stack magazine like this, or a 9mm, probably even a 380, there's a good chance it may not fit in there. Probably a single stack magazine is really what you're going to be looking for. Now, I can easily put that in here. Actually, this isn't even for that one. This is for my EAA arms. This is my Taurus, and it's still the same problem. It's just too wide. I mean, I can get it in here. I can sit the Taurus in there. I can get, for my EAA, which is the only magazine I have for it, that can sit there. My EAA, I can sit that in there. It sits pretty decent. So if I was anyone, I would say probably get the larger. You have a spot for 2 magazines, so when you're running around, you don't have to worry about it being loaded. Depending on whether you have a concealed carrier or not, or what your state allows, you know, it allows you to have the 2 magazines here. In case you break down, you're kind of waiting for someone to come with help, something comes around, you have that. Which is where I first kind of came up with these ideas. And this is from a fellow coworker a couple years ago, asking about that for that very fact with a snowmobile. Now, I don't have a snowmobile, I've got a side-by-side. Now, High Point 9mm, it's not going to fit in there. That's our smaller, but High Point's that large frame size, so obviously you're going to need a larger one. You know, you can make fun of me for having the High Point. They were dirt cheap at the time. They have a lifetime warranty, which is the reason why I picked them up. Good, bad, or indifferent. I mean, I figured for the price, comes with a lifetime warranty. No, the 45 is kind of hard getting out of there. I will admit that. She's just a big, big girl as far as a frame goes. But there again, it comes with a lifetime warranty. Or at least it did. I think it still does. But it's not a bad design. I like the design. I don't know what guns that they were using to do this. I would say if you're doing a 22, get the small one. If you're doing anything of any other size, especially if it's a double stacked magazine, I would get your large size here. Like I said, I think this was 20. I think it was on sale for 22. It might be about $25. Something to think about if you're out there, out on the trails, having fun. We don't do a lot of these videos with guns or anything else. I usually center more on Legos and role-playing games, but you know what? Sometimes it all overlays on itself because we want adventures, and sometimes we want to actually go on a little adventure of our own, so we jump onto a UTV, a four-wheeler, or whatever, and sometimes we want to have something there to help keep us safe. We never know when we're going to break down, and it's never usually on a nice day, which is one of the thoughts I was thinking. Does it actually have the holes on the bottom, so if it does get wet, it will drain the water, your gun's not going to be swimming, and it'll kind of work. And because we've hit this before, because there are some states where it is very difficult to try and get a firearm, you know, if you're waiting for a permit to go through, do you pick up a, you know, semi-auto BB gun or something like that, just as a in-between kind of go-to? You have that availability, and yes, it'll fit in there on our larger frame, not on the smaller one, but on our larger frame. So with that being said, thank you so very much for joining me today. It's wonderful having you here. Hope you're doing well, and I will see you in the next video.